Good morning, everyone, and welcome to January of 2022. Here we are now in the middle of January. It took a couple of weeks for us to compile the final data from the rest of 2021. Today is my Q4 update from 2021. As we speak, we're preparing our big annual report, the Miami report for 2022, which has some interesting insights as to where Miami is going, how cryptocurrency is affecting the local residential market here in South Florida. And that I'll have the opportunity to present to you probably by the end of Q1 of this year, and called the end of March, early April. But today, we're talking about the final results of what was clearly the most remarkable year South Florida has ever seen, certainly residentially, also commercially. But today, most of the focus is residential. Let's begin. Last year was the year that South Florida set an enormous amount of sales records for residential real estate, both houses and for condos. As a result of all of these records, I have today some sobering news. I also have some very positive, encouraging news, but it's a little bit mixed. The sobering news comes from the simple fact that inventory is getting tight. You all know that, but you may not know exactly how tight it's getting. So we will dive into that a little bit right now. And we're going to start with what I have been calling, second to the iPhone, probably the most popular product in the world today is a house in South Florida, a house anywhere in Florida. Wait, a house anywhere in the United States, a house anywhere in North America, a house anywhere in South America, a house anywhere in Europe, Australia, Africa. I've actually done the research. Single-family houses, because of COVID, has become one of the most sought-after products literally in the world. It all began with the concept of social distancing. It's easy to manage social distancing with a house. From there, it became the simple joy of owning a house and the privacy that a house provides. That's what started this big movement, and the movement continues. Let me show you some sobering numbers. So 2 years ago, at the end of Q4 of 2019, there were a little over 16,000 houses to purchase in the multiple listing service in South Florida. That would be Dade County, Broward County, Palm Beach County combined. A year ago, that number dropped to a little over 9,000. People were going to houses because mostly driven by social distancing. That was the big movement in the year 2020. In the year 2021, it was a combination of social distancing and, hey, I just really love having the privacy of a house. And look what it's done to our numbers. So from 2019 to 2020, the inventory dropped by half. From 2020 to the end of 2021, it dropped by half again. This dotted line shows a record of low inventory in May of 2021, which was surpassed at the end of December to 5,300. I suspect it's even a little bit lower as of today, January the 20th. But nevertheless, tight inventory. You take 5,300 houses, you divide it between Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County, and then town by town by town. I'm now sharing with you what you already know. Inventory is tight. Now you know the exact number. What I find really fascinating is how wealthy people from around the United States, mostly, that are moving to South Florida, how they refuse to compromise water. They want to live on the ocean. They want to live on the intracoastal. They want to live on the bay. And they want a house, they want a house, they want a house. I hear from most of you, most of my colleagues from related ISG. Those houses don't exist in any kind of numbers today. As a result of that, which we're going to touch on in a second, I've seen a little bit of movement into what I'm calling now the vertical house. The condo that's on the water, the 3 and 4 bedroom condo. Okay, I can't get the house on the water, and I'm not going to compromise. You're not going to negotiate me off of water. So I'll take the condo, but I need a 3, 4, and 5 bedroom. We're seeing sales in condos now that are indeed intriguing, and another example of a total paradigm shift, which we'll talk about in a second. But this is the sobering news on houses. There's very little land left here in South Florida for big developers of single-family homes to build big tract houses. That you all know. So this is the reality of our lives. You may see a slight uptick from time to time of these single-family houses, but for the most part, I think we are living with a sub 6,000 unit single-family home inventory in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach for all of 2022. This is some interesting news. The average price of the single-family house, because of this big demand and tight inventory, literally doubled in the last 3 years, from 2018 to 2019, from 2019 to 2020, and then 2020 to 2021. 3 years. The average price literally doubled. The folks from New York, the folks from California that come here and buy these houses, they still see them as a relative bargain. We who have been selling houses for a long time think to ourselves, my gosh, are these prices high? But take heart. Folks from around the country that come here, they still see great value in the houses that we are selling. But nevertheless, how's this for perspective? This also goes to the fact that houses are so popular and such big demand. We've seen some big appreciation here in South Florida, but I promise you around the United States, you've probably seen in the same period of time a 50% increase in the average price of a typical house because it's a house. According to the Knight Frank report last year, Miami, Florida saw the highest appreciation of single-family houses in 1 year compared to any other major city in the world. We're being compared to 2 significant cities in Asia. But when it came to North America, including Europe, it's us. It's Miami. Wall Street Journal in April determined that because of the new popularity of single-family homes, we're probably $4 million houses short of current demand. An analysis by Freddie Mac. All the data says that they were right. This is a projection from nearly a year ago, and it seems to be coming true. Forbes magazine and the UN, they're indicating the same problem is occurring around the world, which I touched on a short while ago, and it is. We are short houses. Houses are appreciating at a significant amount, literally all over the world. Not like South Florida, but nevertheless, my God, as an investment, my gosh, if we had a crystal ball, we would have bought all the houses we could have 3 years ago because it turned out to be one of the best investments you ever could have made. Probably still is. Condos. Now, here's the good news. Here's really the good news, which starts with a little bit of sobering news. So we're doing the same inventory analysis for you. 2 years ago, at the end of Q4 19, there were a little over 28,000 condos for sale in multiple listing. That's a lot of inventory. Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, 28,000. It dropped a little bit by the end of Q4. Remember, in Q4 of 2020, because remember in 2020, sales were dominated by houses. Everybody wanted a house. People still want a house, but there's not many houses to buy. So now the ratio between house sales and condo sales is favoring condos because that's where most of the inventory is. We are now down to a new low. You're at 9,300 condos for sale in the Tri-County area. That's the lowest amount we have ever seen. The previous record was in June of last year. We were just over 12,000 condos for sale. Why? People want a house. They can't get it. I'll take the condo. But and wealthy folks from the Northeast, particularly New York and California, that want the water, they want the vertical house, a 3-bedroom, a 4-bedroom, a 5-bedroom. You know, about a year ago, I met with Jules Trump and Michael Goldstein, the developers of the estates of Aquilina. And they told me that they stopped construction on about 5 floors of the South Tower of the estates at Aquilina to reconfigure the units into 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms, and 6 bedrooms because that was the demand that they were receiving. They sold them all. They sold them all for way north of $2,000 a square foot. I thought, a year ago, that was a little bit of an ambitious idea. Turns out they nailed it. They're all sold out. And those units, they only wish that they had built more of those larger units. You want another interesting fun fact about these vertical houses? Last year, Sunny Isles Beach, newer condominium properties, not one bedroom resold. 0 one-bedroom resales in MLS, Sunny Isles Beach, 2021. Does that not make the point? The demand is for 2s, preferably 3s, preferably 4s if you have them. Except we don't have them because developers didn't really build a lot of that type of inventory during the last cycle because we really didn't have much of a demand for it. Things have changed. Now here's the real good news. We're dealing with limited inventory, yes, but look at the prices. Unlike houses, condo prices have stayed flat for the last 3 years, actually closer to 4 years, particularly even in the new buildings. Carolina Gertz, your executive VP, last summer said that by the end of 2021, just 3 weeks ago, condos would slip into the seller's market because of the lack of inventory, and she's right. They have slipped into a seller's market, but we still haven't seen any significant appreciation. Carolina Gertz also said that by the summer of 2022, June, July, August, some 5, 6, 7 months from now, you are going to be seeing condos selling just like houses are. List price, big list prices, and no more contingencies. Based upon the limited inventory, she's got a point, particularly the limited inventory with single-family houses. When I look at this data and I see that the prices of the condos have remained flat for the last 3 or 4 years, to my colleagues at Related ISG, I am trying to tell you this is the great buying opportunity. Condos prices have stayed flat. They can't. They won't. They are going to pop. Carolina's been forecasting it, and all of the data says that she's right. In the next 6 months, you could see prices of condos appreciate by a minimum of 10%, simply because there is no inventory, or inventory is getting kind of tight. This price screams about the value. The difference, the delta between the average house and the average condo has never been as large as it is right now in January of 2022. Take a look at this. So those two records, we just did 2 records. We showed the low inventory of single-family houses for sale, and now we have the lowest amount of inventory of condos for sale in the history of South Florida. Here's another record. Transactions. In 2019, condos and houses combined, Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, over 80,000 transactions. In 2020, 81,000. Now that number is impressive because we were shut down for 3 months. We caught up big time, and we exceeded the amount of transactions in 2019. Look what we did in 2021. Over 100,000 transactions. Every indicator out there, particularly the volume of sales that I've seen come through Related ISG in the last couple of weeks, screams that the volume of sales activity is on track to match 2021. We have a little bit of a tighter inventory situation, but you do have a robust economy. You have lots of people moving to South Florida. You have South America now coming here despite the high dollar because of those changing politics. A couple of weeks ago, Chile elected a new president, very much a leftist. Peru did the same thing. It is strongly suggested that Colombia this summer will more than likely elect a guy named Petro, who is definitely politically to the left. And there's a very good chance that former president of Brazil, Lula, gets reelected. Once again, the Brazilian politics, along with everything else in South America, will lean towards the left. That means that Latin Americans are coming. Latin Americans are coming, together with all of the Americans that have decided to come here, either for tax reasons or because they're following the 70-plus companies that have relocated here in South Florida, principally from the Northeast, a little bit from California, in the last 2 years. We have demand, a little tight on inventory, but we definitely have demand. This was another record for 2021. Now, some of you might be thinking that some of these condos that are getting finished will add to the supply of condos, so maybe we can exhale a little bit. Not so fast. There are 6 condo developments that are being delivered this year. One of them is Aston Martin, for example. But by the time Aston Martin gets delivered, they'll be predominantly sold out. Most of the projects that are being delivered this year are in fact already sold out. So you really can't count on those projects to deliver any significant supply. In 2023, there's 1, and that project is sold out. In 2024, there's 2. Those 2 projects are sold out. There's no inventory here. I've been talking about supply shock for a couple of years now, but this kind of amplifies the point. In multiple listing service, we're dealing with very tight supply with houses, very tight, kind of tight supply with condos, and we're not getting any relief from developers. Because even as we go into 2025, you've got 5 developments, but that's 3 years from now. There are some units available for sale in those 5, but that's 3 years from now. What do we do between now and then? That's why I'm kind of leaning towards Carolina Gertz's forecast. Condo prices have only one place to go in South Florida. They're going to soar this year. They're going to soar because it's the only place people can really go. Um, Traditional condos. There are currently 16 developments underway here in South Florida, 16. Thought we'd give you this little Google map to show you where they are, because when you see them spread out from Coconut Grove to Fort Lauderdale, it's not very many, are there? And this is what we really need. There's been an explosion of condo hotels, short-term rentals, Airbnbs, call it what you like, most of them in downtown Miami, which we'll talk about in a second. And they're nice, they're income-producing properties. It's a great shot in the arm for downtown Miami, but it's not what we need. We need more of these traditional condos that people live in with rental restrictions, non-transient buildings. There are currently 16, less than 3,000. Let me put that in context for you. In the last decade, in the last cycle, from 2012 to 2020, we built 123 traditional condos, almost 20,000 units, not 16, not 3,000 units. In the previous decade, that was really nuts. We built 275 traditional condos from 2000 through 2007, totaling close to 60,000 condos. Now, that's way too many, I agree. But 16 now, less than 3,000 units now, way too little. The pendulum went from one extreme to the other. Condo hotels are nice. We'll talk about it right now. But what this market really needs are these traditional condos and the bigger condos that I'm calling vertical houses. My wealthy New York client will not compromise water. I want ocean, I want intracoastal, I want bay. If I can't get it in a house, I'll go to a condo, but I need space because I have a family and I'm moving here. And I'm seeing prices of 3 and 4 bedroom condos now on a price per foot basis far exceed the smaller units, because that's where the demand is. Another paradigm shift brought to us by COVID. So here are your short-term rentals. This is actually phenomenal news for downtown Miami. There are some 15 condo hotels, short-term rentals, Airbnbs, call it what you like. It's all the same kind of stuff. They're all income-producing properties that are currently being developed principally in the downtown core. In downtown Miami alone, there's $2.2 billion worth of these short-term rental condo hotels. That, together with the Waldorf Astoria, that's over $3 billion worth of condos that are currently being developed, pre-sold in downtown Miami. That $3 billion didn't exist 1 year ago. Didn't exist. That's a tremendous shot in the arm, a tremendous statement about the transformation of downtown Miami. We all know that downtown Miami was going to transform sooner than later. Well, sooner is here, and it's happening. This is wonderful news. It's a lot of inventory. It's over 4,000 units. I would just like to see real estate developers in South Florida skew more towards the traditional than the short term. That's my own personal, maybe professional opinion. But nevertheless, this is really exciting news for downtown Miami. So all this kind of summarizes into what I have been talking about, which is supply shock. The sobering news is the amount of inventory for single-family houses. It's going to remain tight. There's not much we can do about that except just compete for as many listings as we can. The vertical house, the condos with 3, 4, 5 bedroom condos are going to be in huge demand this year. We started seeing big examples of that in the second half of last year, and I have no doubt that it's going to continue in 2022. Costa Rica. Some of you know that we've gone to Costa Rica. We are. I saw the two things last year, about a year ago. The popularity of houses is second only to the Apple iPhone. And this is literally going on around the world. But I saw the shrinking inventory of houses for sale here. Houses, they're in big, big demand. So I went to Costa Rica and I found out that it is the fastest growing country in the world that Americans are moving to. Some of us call them expats, but it's not just Americans, it's Canadians, it's Europeans. People are buying homes in Costa Rica. And part of the reason that they are is because of remote working, not to mention it's just a beautiful, beautiful country. A couple of weeks ago, I was watching 60 Minutes, and an expert on remote working spoke about this concept. You know, pre-pandemic, 1 out of 67 workers worked remotely. Post-pandemic, it's 1 out of 7. Remote working is here to stay. It's another paradigm shift brought to us by COVID. There's many Americans moving to Costa Rica because they can work remotely, but they're going to live in paradise down there. They're going to live in a very safe country, a beautiful country with great water, great food, great air, lots of things to do, very affordable real estate. So we went to Costa Rica. We'll talk about that at another time. Those of you that heard we're there, we are. And we happen to be working for the biggest single-family home developer in Costa Rica. So here are the takeaways of today's brief Q4 presentation. We are dealing with supply shock more than ever. The real buying opportunity, however, is with condos. I tried to make that point as clearly as I could. Demand is there, guys. You know, Florida's been growing at a rate of about 900 people a day for close to 20 years. We all see it on Interstate 95, on the Florida Turnpike, on Collins Avenue. We see the roads incredibly crowded. And it's not because it's January. We saw this back in June, July, and August. People continue to come. The U.S. Census is not going to come out with the real numbers until the end of this month, but my guess is that we're right smack dab on that same 900 a day of people that call South Florida their permanent home, not including second home sales. And expect a lot of demand this year from South America because of the shifting political situation. The only issue, of course, is what are they going to buy that they can enjoy in 2022? A lot of the pre-construction stuff won't get delivered for 4 or 5 years from now. This is 2022. So what are we going to put people in 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025? That's what's going to drive the price of a lot of this real estate up. So folks, that's a summary of what happened in 2021. That's our Q4 update. Give you a little glimpse into what 2022 just might look like. On behalf of my partners at Related, with Related ISG, I want to thank you for your attention. On behalf of my partners from ISG, to Grossa Capital, I want to thank you as well. Stay tuned. 2022 is going to be an interesting, undoubtedly successful and profitable year, despite the tight inventory. Just let's stay in touch with each other, guys. We're going to figure this out. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.